What's up, YouTube family? Tio here, Simplistic Fishing, back at you today with a lake breakdown. That's right. Last time I actually titled the entire video wrong. So if you were out there looking for Hubbard Creek, you may have stumbled across it and realized it wasn't Hubbard Creek, it was actually Lake Buchanan. Well, I fixed that title, so if you missed it, I'll put a link up here to the top that'll take you back to it and show you. That was our first breakdown for Lake Buchanan using Google Earth. And so tonight what we're going to do is we're going to start where we left off over there by the Texas Park and Wildlife brush pile. I believe it was number 7 that we started at. So we'll start there and then we'll work our way down and see what else we can find. Stick around. I got some good stuff for you. Let's go. Let's go ahead and jump into Lake Buchanan. Like I talked about, we had the first video. What we did is we always start at the dam. So you can see down here, the dam's here. And we work our way up the east side. And then we work our way back down to the west side. Well, I told you that we finished on Texas Park and Wildlife brush pile number, I think I told you it was number 7 in the intro, but it was actually number 5. So if we go here and we look for number 5, we finished right there. So as I'm showing you this, let me go over here and show you what I'm doing over here on the left side real quick, in case you haven't seen any of my lake breakdowns or missed that first video. I broke this lake down into a couple different categories. First one is the Texas Park and Wildlife brush piles. You can get those coordinates off of their website out at Texas Park and Wildlife. All I've done is just brought those in so we can see those. We've also got channels and ditches. So these are all the different channels and ditches. You can see the tracks. Cool thing about this is if you buy the card from Simplistic Fishing or the digital files, you put these tracks on your graph, and then you'll be able to stay right in the middle of those channels. You'll know exactly because it's all done by satellite imaging. I've also got a lot of different rock formations, piles, things like that to go check out. Different types of cover. That's going to include like pipes and brush piles and just kind of random stuff, debris, laydowns, kind of put everything in there as we're into the same category as cover. And then finally, all the different ramps that are out here, some totally submerged, some that are still in use. So let's go ahead and jump into this. We're going to start at Texas Park Wildlife number 5, which was over here somewhere. We were just looking at it. There's 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I got to be close. Number 5 right here. So that's where we're going to start. So I'm going to move this over. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to the history icon. I'm going to click that to bring it on, and then I'm going to take it back to 2014. So really 2014, or maybe even do this 2011. Let's go back. 2014 seemed to be my favorite one that I was using. So that's where we're going to start. So if you remember last time, let me go ahead and back this off. So I'll show you where I'm at before we get too far into this. You can see I'm right up here in this pocket by Spider Mountain Bike Park. So right there off Texas Park and Wildlife number 5, we're going to start there. If you look, that point looks pretty good, number 1, just the way that it sets up. It comes out, has some pretty decent drop off of it. But if you look really close and zoom in, if you get on the outside of this point, there's a little bit of scattered rock. So you've got a little bit of rock in here. You know, you can go out there, throw those shaky heads, wobble heads, jigs, all that good stuff. But then if you look in here too, these are like isolated rock piles where they're just a lot grouped together a lot more. So you definitely want to look inside of these spots, especially where I've marked rock at. Those are going to be your isolated piles. You got a couple more up here as well off the edge of the point that look pretty interesting. All of this looks like I could see them collecting around that. This is a really hard spot right here. Not sure what's going on here, but the left side of that little hump there has some really good rock as well. So you just want to look for spots like that. Again, if you're fishing this lake, you know, if you're like me and the way you started fishing was just pounding the bank. Well, if you're pounding the bank on this lake, you're really missing a lot of opportunities because I think your fish are going to be a little bit further off. This is definitely a shallower lake. So I could see if it got really muddy, yes, I mean, you're going to be able to catch fish up shallow, but I think you're going to have a pretty decent offshore bite on this lake based on the different types of cover that's out here off the shoreline. If we're looking at this rock pile here, in 2014, it was that far out. But now we bring it up to 2019. That rock pile's out there in the middle of the water, and you know those are going to be good places for them for you to be able to locate the fish. So let's just keep on moving up. We also have a ramp that's over here. And then right in here, we've got another rock pile that's right here off of this one. If you can look around here, there's almost like a little rock wall going right there, but then there's a really good rock pile That's right in that area. Got some more rock piles over here. Just isolated rock piles. Fun fishing. Very easy to go over it, scan it, see if there's any fish there, and move on. But definitely hot areas to try to find some fish. There's a really cool looking ditch back in here too. So I'm just off the edge of this point. If you're kind of trying to follow where I'm at, just south of 2341, back in the back of this little bay right here. There's a ditch that looks really good back here. You can see it right here. And you can see the shadows from it. And that's why I think it's a really good ditch, because that's kind of like our little Texas ledges. And you got a little mini ledge going on right in there. So I could see them collecting up in there. Definitely would want to take a look at that. This boat ramp's super long, so you could check a look at that. There's also some pretty good sized boulders right here beside the boat ramp. You can tell they're big, again, because you can see the shadows from the sun. You've also got another ramp over here that looks like it's never used. It's probably totally submerged when the water is up, but anywhere all up in here could be really good, up and down this boat ramp. Let me show you what that would look like in 2019. Now you can see why that gets me excited when I see a boat ramp way out there in the middle of the water. This looks all good too. That ramp comes way out here. So these are all really good spots. I think you could definitely find some fish in those areas. Got some ramps here as well. Got more rock going on along around this, just this little bend or this shoreline. Some pretty good rock. You've got a ramp there. All this big chunk rock and stuff looks really good. And then you've got a kind of an isolated pile of rock right in here. Notice you've got some transition areas going on right there and right there. So yes, you have rock up on the bank line, but really you've got a really good transition line going on right in here. So I could see those fish, if they're pulled off the bank a little bit, I could see them being a little bit further out here and being right on that line or that transition line. Here again, you got a lot of scattered rock all up along the bank line. And you'll pretty much see that throughout this lake. You got a ramp here, got some big boulders that are going on right out in here off the edge of this dock. And then again, out here, it kind of goes to sand, but then you have a little point that comes out that has some pretty good rock off it as well. So I'm going to pull back here just a little bit again, kind of showing you guys where I'm at. So still just south of 2341, and we're just making our way up. The next thing that I saw in this area was right behind this dock. There's a decent little ditch that goes through here. Now, this may not be a summertime thing necessarily, but definitely a springtime thing. I'd come up here and check this out, or even in the fall, but pretty good little ditch going on right in this area, right behind that dock. So it's kind of a weird little area, but definitely something you'd want to check out. I'll pull it up, show it to you on 2019. You can't even tell all that stuff's going on there. So that's why, again, it looks really good to me. This lake has so much offshore stuff that you can uncover because the water is down so low here. So again, didn't see too much going on here. I may, check out this right here, these little boulders where they've made this little pathway to this dock. That's all going to be underwater now, so you may be able to find them here. You've got some really good shadows, a pretty good line, and anytime you see a line like that where everything's kind of just perfectly in line, fence posts, things like that, the bass really love to hang around that stuff. So maybe check this out. I didn't mark it. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and mark it now because now it's piqued my interest. But check these out, and really, you need to set up right on them. Don't set up to the side of them. Set up parallel with them this way, or set up on each end of them and cast into them this way. I guess I shouldn't say that because it really depends on the wind, but that's how I would set up on them unless the wind was determining something else for me. So anyways, check out those rock piles. I think they're going to be good for you. If again, 2019, we're looking out here, those are way out here in the middle of the lake. All right, so we're going to go back to 2014 again. And we're just going to keep on moving up. Right now, we're kind of finally getting kind of parallel here. We're up here by Buchanan County Park. There's the ramp. Right outside the ramp, just to the east of it, southeast of it, you've got two pretty good little ditches going on right in here. And again, what gets me excited when I see these types of things is if I see a lot of shade. If I see a lot of shade, that means I've got a pretty good drop off. So the bigger the shade line, the bigger the drop off. And you can see here, the shade line's pretty good. So I can definitely see that being one of those little secret honey holes that you can go find that most people just drive right past. And it's right there by the boat ramp, which makes it even better. All right, so as we move a little bit further out here, you do have a long pipe that comes out here you could check out. I don't know if that's worth your time or not, but did mark it. A lot of different ramps up there. We've also got some rock that's out here as well. I did not see that last time, so I'm going to mark that again. We're probably going to find several other things as we move along here, just because this lake had so much stuff to find, so many opportunities to find things. All right, so we're going to go up just north of Buchanan County Park. And when we get up there, that's when we see a Texas Park and Wildlife brush pile. Of course, I can't see it in 2014. That just looks like a kind of like a weed line or just some cover, maybe some rock. But back behind that Texas Park Wildlife brush pile, you've also got some hard spots. You got a good hard spot right here, and you got a really good rock pile way out here. Again, guys, this is way offshore, right? When the water's up. You've got some more rock going on here, just these little isolated piles. That's going to be super, super shallow, but might be worthy of just, going by and scanning. You got a pretty decent little creek channel that comes down through here too. And then up here towards the bank, you got a little bit of a rocky area up in here. Now, this is going to be when they get up really shallow. Obviously, you could come up in here, but other than that, you want to stay away from this area. You've also got a ramp in here as well, and then a rock pile that's over here. And this one's definitely a little bit more offshore. So, for June, we're June 11th right now as I'm recording this, definitely this would be the more areas I would focus on, the stuff that's a little bit further offshore. Another rock pile here, a couple rock piles down here that look really cool. And that point just looks pretty good too. And then, of course, another Texas Park and Wildlife fish attractor, which maybe they put them in after 2014 because I definitely can't. They're not big enough, at least for me to be able to see through Google imaging. All right, so I'm going to keep moving up. And now we're up here by Garrett Island. We're going to go just to the east of it, and we're going to finish up right in this area. Again, just some hard spots for you guys to take a look at. You can see here, everything else is muddy, and you've got these hard spots. So I just marked each one of them for you. Hopefully be able to find some fish in that area. I didn't see much going on up in here, right? There just wasn't much around that Silver Creek Park. I didn't see a lot of rocks. I didn't see a lot of ditches, creek channels, anything that really caught my attention or usually catches my attention. I didn't see it there. So I didn't mark anything there. There is a up here by this island, though. If I zoom out a little bit, show you guys where we're at. If I zoom out around that island, there is a Texas Park and Wildlife brush pile right off the edge of this little point that's off the island there. So you would want to check that out, especially with it being close to the river. Notice how the river channel runs through here. If you can see the little hand on my screen, hopefully you can. And then it swings and it bends down here. So primo places really is going to be right down in here, right where this big turn is. But that is very close to the river channel. So they can come up here, hang out, and then, go on down the river, or they can sit here in this brush pile and let the bait just funnel to them, right? They can set up on this point and just let it come to them. So that is going to be a really good brush pile to take a look at. That's probably why they put the brush pile there. One is going to be the same thing. You're coming around this bend, and then that point sticks out. That's a perfect spot to put a brush pile. So definitely a really good area to go look for some fish there. And then if we zoom in, just a couple things up here. We got a couple ramps. There is some pipes. If I zoom in here enough, you're going to see it. There's about 4 or 5 pipes right here. Sometimes those pipes are great places to find fish. They get right up against them. I mean, they'll like hug up against them. And they'll actually I think they use it to ambush the bait. They'll set right below it, let the bait go above it, and then they'll ambush it. But always good places to at least go and scan and check out, see if you can find anything. We talked about that number 1 brush pile. That would definitely be, to me, a number 1 spot to put a brush pile. So it's a perfect spot. And then we get up here a lot further north. So let's go up just a little bit further up here. Not seeing too much on this bank line here, but as we get up here into the really kind of the river channel up here, there is some stuff to take a look at. So here's going to be your main river channel, right where you see the green. That's your main river channel. So anything that's close to that river channel, that's definitely going to be a hot spot. So like right here where there's a hard spot, you definitely want to look there. You might be able to see that hard spot better if I move it back to 2011. So that hard spot, that's a perfect spot. That could be that could be shell beds. I'm not sure what that is, but it's definitely something. So go and look at that. That's going to be something you're going to throw the football head jigs on, Carolina rigs, all kinds of stuff you can throw out there. It doesn't look like you're going to get hung up too much, but it is a hard spot in an area where there's just not a lot of different hard spots to choose from. So let's go back to 2014. If I can get up here. And we're just going to look at a couple of these things, just some rocks, some laydowns, different rocks over here. Now, this stuff could be really shallow. I've never been to this lake before, so I would say that this is probably going to be a pretty shallow area, but some really good rock piles, rock formations, hard spots right off the edge of that point, another little hard spot right over here. So if you're up here fishing, focus on those hard spots, and that's probably where you're going to be able to find a lot of the action. Now, if you look here, There's a little creek that looks like it comes out here and comes down through here, right through here. And so it swings right against that point. So that hard spot right there on the point, I'm going to look at that very seriously if I was out there fishing for sure. And then of course this hard spot too. So if I'm looking at all of those, if I could only pick two of them, I'm picking that little point and that hard spot over here by the river channel. All right, and then that pretty much takes us all the way up in the river, and not too much to choose from there. So let's switch over and let's go over here to the left side and see what we can find on the left side. So we're going to start at the very highest point in the north, and we're going to work our way back down south. So as we get up here, the river kind of swings over, makes a little bit of a turn here, has a big swing that comes out here as well. So this is going to be primo area, right here where you see these laydowns. This laydown is okay. These two humps, primo, right? Primo areas to be trying to find some fish. Set up in here, work the sides of these. Definitely, I think you can find some pretty good action in there. Moving up here, just so we don't skip these, there are a couple of different rocks and hard spots up here. There's some debris up here, but again, you're probably getting pretty shallow up in this area. If you got some laydowns and some rocks, let's pull this up while we're up here, and let's look and see what it actually looks like when the water's all the way up. Then we're going to go back there and take a look at what we just saw. So now everything's a lot different, right? That rock looks way far off. That debris we were looking at that looked like it was up on shore, it's actually out there. The hump that looked like it was really close to shore is actually pretty far out offshore. But you can see there's some debris and stuff in here, so obviously have to be careful getting up in here. But I'm telling you, that spot right in there is going to be a good spot to find some fish. All right, so we are going to move back to 2014, and we're going to keep moving down. We got some rock over here on this side, nothing too crazy. Again, there's not a lot shallow on this lake that really gets me excited, but all this offshore stuff definitely makes me want to go fish this lake for sure. A little bit of a hard spot right in this area. Just this stuff, guys, you can go check it out, but it's going to be definitely a timing thing. There's just not a lot over here to attract them to be over this area. But the spots that are here could be really good spots because there's not a lot of cover in this area. If you look right in here, there's a little bitty rock pile going on here. And then if you look right here, there's another rock pile. It almost looks like maybe like a ridge going on right in here or an old roadbed or something. But if you mark it from that rock to that rock, that's really the only hard spot in that whole entire area over here. So they're definitely going to relate to that kind of stuff, and they're going to relate to these types of things, like where this rock is off this point, but that could, again, be so shallow that they can't even get up there. Let's move it up to 2019. See, that's pretty shallow. That rock doesn't actually go that far out there. So very deceiving if you're fishing the bank line on this lake for sure. What looks like you're fishing a rocky bank line, you're really not fishing anything. You're just fishing mud. So as we move up here, we get up here by Cedar Point Recreational Area. I do like how the river bends up here. So this is always going to be a good spot just because the river's there. But you do have a little brush pile that's over here you could check out, and then some rock that's right in that area too. And then you could come over here off this point and just try this as well and just see if you have any luck when you get over there. As we move on down and we start working our way further down the lake, let's go ahead. We're probably going to cover, I don't know, let's stop at 15. So we'll go down there and we'll stop at 15, and we'll have to have another video on this one. But as we get down here, there is a lay down here in this little bay. You can kind of see it underneath my marker there. You've also got a pretty good little hard spot that comes off right here. It almost makes like a perfect little line right there. That could be really good because the river is right there really close by. So obviously it's a good spot for them to chill out, hang out, and just let the bait come to them. So those are always good spots. Another good hard spot right here. You've got pretty good transition areas there as well. Notice how it's just really muddy, and then it gets to a hard spot. That's going to be a good area to fish around. As we get in here, we got some laydowns out here. Again, just your main river channel. You could even try coming out here. I don't know how deep these trees are that you see out here when the water's all the way up. But in the summertime, you could try getting out here where this river channel is and figure out exactly where it is, by scanning around. And I guarantee that river channel is right up along the side of these, where you see these trees at. That's probably like a little swing or something like that. But that area right in there, even though I didn't mark it, would be worthy of going and checking out, especially depending on how deep it is. All right, so let's keep moving down. We get down here by this point, not a lot going on, just kind of muddy, nothing. There is a little bit of rock up here, right out the edge. And the only reason why I marked this is because it's far enough off to where it looks like it might have some depth to it. If I go to 2019, you can see it's right off the tip of that dock. And the fact that that's a point, that also makes it a little more interesting too. All right, so let's keep moving down. We're going to go up here now, and we're going to get in this little pocket. We're just going to check out and see what we can find. Looks like we're over here by Buchanan Lake Village. Just see if there's some stuff up here. There is some pretty good rock that comes off this point and a pretty good transition area again. This lake has a lot of these transition areas, but look how you go from sandy kind of dirt to rock immediately. So all this area right in here, that's going to be primo spot to try to find some fish. And then if you move up here off of this point, there's a ramp up here, but there's also some pretty good rock going on off this point too. Let's pull this up and look at it in 2019 and see what that looks like. So now that rock's a lot farther up off the shore, right? So definitely good looking spots. We got some rock up there as well. So let's pull that back to 2014 and show that to you. Rock right off of that point. Again, if you're fishing the bank line, there's just not much up there, but if you get further out, that's where the action starts. And right here is a really good rock pile off of that little point right there. And then you've got a little bit of a hard spot over here back behind these docks. Those docks are probably not out there anymore. They're probably, I don't even know where they went. They disappeared, but you definitely have some rock that's over here too. All right, so let's go back to 2014. And really nothing going on in this cove. Maybe a little bit of a ditch there, but nothing that really, I thought that was really worthy of marking. There are tons of ramps. So if you're on that boat ramp pattern, you can go up there and throw those shaky heads, wobble heads, football head jigs, stuff like that in and around the edges of those ramps. And you'd be surprised at how many fish relate to those things. When you look outside those ramps right here, there's actually a pretty good rock pile too. And I really like this because you're starting to form a little bit of a pinch point right here. And so really good spot for them to set up on again and do a lot, ambush and bait and stuff like that. Also a really good stopping spot if they were to come up in here and spawn back in here in the spring. That's a really good stopping spot for them when they come out. And it's also a great stopping spot for them when they're coming in. So I would pay a lot of attention to that rock pile that's right there. All right, then moving down here, we got a lot of ramps. So I'm not going to focus in on the ramps. I'll make you guys dizzy, but several different ramps you could fish. All of them going to be pretty shallow, but there is a little bit of rock out here. If you zoom in, there's a little bit of a hard spot right here. And if there's any fish in this area, they're going to relate to that hard spot because there's nothing else out there. All right, so let's keep moving down. Again, not seeing a lot, on that bank line. We're getting down here closer towards this little bend right here. And we're going to stop at 15. So we're almost done for this video, but let's talk about what else is in here real quick. We got a couple different rock formations here, and these look like piles, just piles of rock. So literally if you found them and they were on these rock piles, you got about 6 rock piles right here that you could fish. I mean, just perfect. If the wind was pushing just right, this could be an all-day trip right here just fishing those rock piles. You got a lot more out here too. You got some isolated rock piles out here. Another big rock pile right in this area. This one's a little bit smaller. Those 6 that I showed you that were in line, all these right here, these all look good, and that one looks good too. Let me show you what this looks like when I pull this up. Before I pull the water up, though, I want to show you too, that boat ramp is totally submerged. Very strange that that boat ramp's even out there. But let's pull it up to 2019. You'll see that ramp's way out here. Those rock piles are far enough off the shoreline that I think they will be productive for you guys. So definitely go look in this area. I think that's going to be a great area to be able to find some fish for sure. And then moving down here, we have one more of those little isolated rock piles that's way out here. That one looks really good. And then the Texas Park and Wildlife fish attractors are there. Of course, we can't see them, but we're going to trust them that they put them there. So let's go ahead and stop there at 15. What we'll do is when I come back for the next Buchanan video, we'll start at 15 and we'll keep working our way south. We may be able to finish in one more video. We might have to do another one. And then what I'll probably do is pull off and maybe just take a look at Navionics and make sure that we didn't miss anything that we can't see out here in this deeper spot. If there is, I'll go ahead and mark them for you guys. But appreciate the time. Hopefully you have had a chance to go out and check out my site, simplisticfishing.com. You can pick up these waypoints, get them on an SD card, or get them emailed to you via the digital files, and then just take those, put them on a card, put them in your graph, and off you go. You'll have all these waypoints on your graph while you're on the water. It will change the way you fish. Go check it out, simplisticfishing.com. Until next time, I hope you catch your PB. Take it easy.